Hey, welcome to this is today. Here we are, Oregon Weight and Wellness, and I am Dr. Julie Gilbert. I am joined by my buddy Rachel. Hi, Rachel. And today we are talking about a little bit of a controversial topic, but we're in Michael Pollan's Food Rules, and we're talking about Chapter 23. Which says treat meat as a flavoring or special occasion food. Okay, now, now I have so, but you know what his point is it shouldn't fill your whole plate, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And I think when we talk to people at Oregon Weight and Wellness, we show that the plate is actually mostly plants, and just a portion of it is meat. And so he also points out, and what I can agree to is that there's meat 2 or 3 times a day. But what I'm going to add to that, Rachel, is the kind of meat that they're eating. It may not be the healthiest choice. So they're it's very highly processed meats, and like the deli meats at the and I'm not saying I'm above all that. I used to eat all that deli meat myself. Or they're eating meat from an animal that's not healthy. Yeah. What do I mean by that? Well, unfortunately, the way we raise our most of here in the United States makes the animal unhealthy because we're feeding the animal a lot of times grain, and for example, cows are meant to eat grass. And when cows eat grass, they have a much different health than when they eat grain. So when they eat healthy grain, actually they can get diabetes and heart disease just like a person can. So, and when we eat that unhealthy animal, then that's not healthy for us. Yeah. So I'm kind of going on and on here. So I think we don't know what it's, we didn't live 100, we're not living the way we lived 150 years ago. And most of us, we've moved the vegetables off the plate and put more meat on the plate. And maybe that's not the direction we need to go. Maybe we need to put more vegetables on the plate, and the meat, when we eat meat, we want it to be the highest quality that our budget allows, which means grass-fed, free-range, or wild, when we do eat it. Yeah. I was going to say the other thing that goes on here. So I'm going to go back and say that maybe we're eating a lot of unhealthy meat because that it's processed, and maybe the meat was not healthy to begin with. Oh, this is my other thought, is we're only eating part of the animal. We're only eating the muscle. And when you're just eating muscle, you're not getting a lot of the other nutrients, because he does point out that humans have been eating and relishing meat for a very long time, nourishing food. However, it's less nourishing if we just eat the muscle part. So I know I'm kind of all over the map here, but this is what I've learned, is when you eat meat that has a bone in, and maybe it has some fat on it when it comes from a healthy animal, right? And you cook it slowly at a low temperature, you're going to get a much more nourishing, nutrient-dense food than if you strip it and just eat the muscle part of it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. So give me some examples.
Yeah. So, bone, if you had a chicken that you bought it was free range, meaning it ran around and scratched in the dirt, got the bugs and whatever plants that it eats, because it's a carnivore, and was not in a barn, so it ran around. First of all, it's going to be leaner. It's not going to, when we feed those other ones that are in the barn, they're so heavily in their breasts, they all over. But anyway, if we buy a free range chicken, it's going to be smaller, and we just cook the whole thing, put it in the whole thing, then we're getting a lot of, the nutrients from the bones, from the cartilage, a lot more minerals, and a lot more nutrient density when we eat an animal, like that, or meat like that.
So what you're saying, obviously we're not eating the bone and we're not necessarily eating the cartilage, but what you're saying is when we cook the meat that's still on the bone, the meat itself has more nourishment?
Yeah. And then for example, if you take the broth from that and you make a little gravy out of it or something like that, then you're getting a lot more nutrient density from the broth, or if you made a soup or a stew or something like that. Yeah.
So with a cow, this is a little bit more difficult because cows are pretty big and you've got lots of different types of meats that come off of a cow. So what would be an example of eating beef?
Well, I mean, T-bone steak or ribeye or any kind of brisket or something that still has a little bit of again, this is a cow that ate grass only. It's going to be leaner to begin with. And yeah, so it's whatever bone-in piece of that meat that then you put in your stew, and your crock pot, and you're just going to get a lot more with a lot of plants in there: carrot, onion, celery, turnip, rutabaga, which I ate for the first time in a long time, and I loved it in my Hungarian goulash. It was great. Yeah. But yeah, so you're going to get a lot more nutrient density out of that when you do choose to have meat.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. I'd never really understood what that meant because I don't. So the biggest point is that you're using the broth and the juices that you've cooked the meat in, so that you're getting
all the yeah. So this was a tough chapter meat for me. I'll just say that because I enjoy eating meat, and I probably when I eat my 2 meals a day, they do have some sort of animal product in them. It's going to be at the highest quality, and grass-fed, free range, or wild. And, and my plate is not filling my plate. It's just part of it. So, and most of my plate is then vegetables. But I think the point here is that everybody's different, and it might depend on the stage of life that you're in. It might depend on what your health goals are. It might depend on what your current medical condition, if you have other comorbidities. It might depend on that. If you are start in a state of unhealth, there's so many factors here that there's no one size fits all. Yeah. So, and I was wondering how long Thomas Jefferson, he alluded to Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Jefferson, do you know how old he was when he died?
I don't.
I was wondering.
But I can Google it real quick.
Yeah, Google it for me. Google it real quick. So, so this is hard one for me. But anyway, to his point, the standard American diet is highly processed. The meat in the standard American diet is highly processed. Yeah, and we know that processed meat, processed bread, processed grain, processed potato, not good for us. So staying away from that process is probably the most important thing there. We don't need to eat a whole plate full of meat. We need to get more vegetables on that plate for sure. Yeah.
He
So all that
was
stuff.
83.
83.
Yes. And now I'll ask the Googles.
Okay, we're good.
What did he die of?
I don't know.
Do they know? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know my history that well.
Yes.
So
I don't either. I don't know. It sounds like he had some rheumatism, some infection. So anyway, little trivia for you. If you ever ask, Thomas Jefferson was 83 years old. You'll win the game if you're playing that.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So
okay.
Anything to add?
No, this
there,
Rachel. What was that? Say it again.
Anything that you want to add there?
No, I think you had touched on kind of some of the points that we had talked about, and that there's lots of different ways to eat, lots of different stages of life that require different nutrients and different conditions, different comorbidities, health, diseases, chronic illnesses. So it's not a one size fit all. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And that it's really helpful to be in contact with your doctor or someone if you are trying to lose weight or reverse disease or, trying to make a difference with your health and your nutrition, to really kind of know what's right for you.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, right. You want to talk to your health professional, your primary care doctor, and there's some really good books out there too that you can, give really good information. Yeah.
Do your research. I like that idea.
Research,
because, and read lots of different books from lots of different ideas and figure out what makes sense for you and what you think will work for you, and then get some help from a doctor. And
right. And we're always willing to help you. And that's why we really try to give a very individual approach here at Oregon Weight and Wellness. There's no one size fits all. If vegetarian or vegan is the best thing for you, that's what we're going to go with. But if flexitarian is more what's helpful, then that's what we're going to go with. So yeah, we can work with, certainly start where you are. And then sometimes things change. So the body's needs change. So anyway, that's the kind of individual approach that we like to start with, and work with here at Oregon Weight and Wellness. So Rachel, it's Monday, dinner time.
Hey,
what you got?
So my daughter made some plant-based Alfredo sauce last night. So we have some of that left over. We'll probably pour a little bit of that over some asparagus and broccoli. But I'm making a salad, and it's out of a magazine. So this is how I find a lot of my recipes that I love so much. Can you see this?
Wow. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And
gorgeous.
Where's the name of it? Hold on. Here we go. Beet, mandarin, and farro salad.
Yum.
So that's going to be the salad that we make on the side. There's there's arugula in it, but if you look at the picture, so, there's beets, there's mandarins, there's actually some feta, chickpeas, and some farro. I think I'm going to add a lot more arugula. That's not as much green as I'd like to have in my plate. I'd like that to be way more green and less of the other stuff. So that's how I'll balance it out a little bit. How about you? What's for dinner?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say what I love is that you are bringing in something left over.
Yeah.
For last night. That's awesome. That's a great way to meal prep and plan, to use leftovers, so we don't want to be in the kitchen all the time. So maybe we make a little bit more and have an idea, and you're using it differently than you did before. So I love that. Yeah. And I love that you have beets in there. Beets are purple vegetables increase HDL. So that's awesome.
Right. And they also are good for people who are running or trying to get cardiovascularly stronger. They're and I haven't traditionally eaten a lot of beets. I didn't grow up on them. So it's one of those foods. I think we were talking about this last week where I haven't learned how to like them yet, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
So this is why I like this recipe, because I think it's going to help me.
You know what's fun to do is it's chunking them too, but spiralizing them gives it just a little bit different texture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you eat them as like noodles, or do you eat them in a salad like that?
Yeah. I chop them up salad, spiralize them for the salad, or shave them for the salad. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been getting into stews lately since it's colder weather. I see you've got your, I don't know, I've got,
Yeah.
So, and I love that rutabaga. So I'm going to do another rutabaga stew, and it's going to have other root vegetables in there and tomato and onion. And this time I'm just going to do more of a chili. Yeah, because chilies are great for this time this time of year.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a lot of those root veggies and chili, and there's probably going to be some grass-fed hamburger in there.
Yeah. And you can make like you were saying with batch cooking, you can make just a massive pot of this.
Right.
Eat off of it all week, freeze a bunch of it for those nights when you get home and you're like, oh, dinner, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's going to be great. Yeah. So that's exactly right. Big pot and freeze some. So dinner. So Sarah Harvey says dinner for her is cauliflower, celery, onion, broccoli, stir fry, brown rice, and a side of beans. She thinks. Yeah. So she's getting her protein in because thanks for that, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you,
she's
Sarah.
getting her protein and plant protein, which is awesome, in her beans. So that's great. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. And until next time, stay healthy. All right.
Bye, everybody.